How do masters of their craft achieve greatness? Is it hard work? Is it discipline? Is it determination? Is it talent? Is it practice? Or is it something else? Because at the highest levels, everyone works hard, everyone has discipline, everyone has determination, and there's plenty of very talented people, but something still seems to be missing. So what's the difference between the best and the rest? What makes a Bruce Lee a Bruce Lee? What makes a Michael Jordan the greatest? What makes a Navy SEAL endure the stresses of combat? What makes a Beethoven, a Bach, or a RZA create a magical symphony? What makes a Dr. Martin Luther King shake a nation with a dream? What I've discovered is that masters do things differently. They have an unshakable trust in themselves, and they have a very, very different relationship with fear and with doubt. You see, each and every one of us here is dealing with fear and doubt to some level or another. And all we truly want is we want to feel safe, and we want to trust ourselves. But there's this voice. There's this voice that comes in your head that tells you what you can and you can't do. There's this enemy that's within, and it's always talking at you, yipping and yapping at you, and it puts fear and doubt into your mind. And it tries to whisper. It's been trying to whisper at me all day today. You know what it's been trying to say? Hey man, you better go up there and say something smart. That's a really intelligent crowd. You're talking on the TED stage, and dude, you're talking about mastery. You better not mess up. You better say something to impress them. And then it gets even finer and it says, do you really belong up there? You see, each and every single one of us is looking to trust ourselves. We're looking to feel safe. That's why we're attracted to these icons. We're attracted to these icons not because of what they do, not because of how they do it, but because of who they are. And behind who they are, there's an energy that animates them, and that energy is one of an unshakable trust and one of a belief in themselves. And we're drawn to them because we want to believe in ourselves. We look at them and we see a courage, confidence, and clarity in them, and we want to see that in us. We see a peace, a presence, and a playfulness in them that we want to see in us. You see, my teacher taught me that mastery is not a destination, it's not a result, and it's definitely not a title. But what mastery is, it's a process. It is the continuous change and transformation of the being. It is the art of freeing yourself from yourself so that you could be of service to the world. But what does that mean? It's the art of freeing yourself from your fears and from your doubts so you could be right here, right now, in this moment, and you can access your superpowers of creativity, connectivity, and adaptability. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you a very simple but profound idea my teacher taught me. And it's called the Circles of Mastery. I've had the distinct honor and pleasure of working with over 200 military and government agencies, Silicon Valley executives, professional athletes, and I've been blessed to be trained by the best masters on this planet. And what I discovered is this is what masters do differently. And I want to share that with you today. So in the beginning, what we have to start with is this is who you are. That's your true self. And then something happens to you, life hits you. Life hits all of us. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan till what? You get punched in the face. But we all get hit. We get hit in our finances, we get hit in our health, we get hit in our relationships. We all face traumatic experiences of betrayal, of rejection, and of abandonment. So you know what that does? It makes us create this wall. We create this wall around our true self, and that wall is called fear. And that creates a separation. And as you continue to drift away from your center of who you truly are, you build a second wall, and that second wall is called self-doubt. And you continue to drift away from who you are, and you build this final wall. And this final wall is your mask. So your mask is who you think you are. It's an acquired personality, it's a pretend identity, okay? You take it on so you can protect yourself. Let me tell you my story. When I was 13 years old, I lost my hair to alopecia. For those of you who don't know, alopecia is an autoimmune disease where the immune system thinks your hair follicles are enemies and it destroys them. So check it, yo. It's early 90s. I'm a freshman in high school. OPP is the #1 track on the radio. And all you want to do is you want to be cool and you want to mac on the girls, right? And there's no The Rock and there's no the Vin Diesel for me to look up to. Those guys hadn't made it yet. So you know what I did? I went into hiding and I got a wig, and I wore a wig from when I was 13 years old till I was 28 years old. I went into fear and into doubt and into shame, and I was always worried about what people thought of me. Do you know how much of my time and how much of my energy I put into maintaining that mask? But we all wear masks, and we all feed those with our energy and our life force. Until I discovered that mastery is about working your way into the center of who you truly are. Let me tell you how I discovered this. It was totally by accident. It was the spring of 2001, and I found myself in this dark parking lot in Ocean Beach, San Francisco. All right? Ocean Beach, San Francisco, for those of you who don't know, it's on the back of San Francisco. There's this giant hill. The hill comes down like this, and as the hill comes, there's an elevated parking lot. From the elevated parking lot, you go down, and then there's the beach, and there's a bonfire over there, and there's about 100 people having a party. So we're the last 2 cars to arrive, and we're college kids. So what do responsible college kids do? You got to pop open the trunk, have some beers and some Mr. Jack Daniels. And that's when I learned lesson number 1, that bad things happen to you when you least expect it, when you're having a good time, because your awareness is down. Now, literally out of the darkness came this local gang. There's about 25 of them, and they were looking for someone. To the right of me was a friend of mine. He was smoking a cigarette, and to the left of me was my roommate. I remember it like yesterday. They had a leader over here, but this guy that was trailing with them, he had literally just pulled off a 2x4 from the fence, and it still had the nail sticking out, and had it straddled like this. His shirt was open, and he had a tattoo. And each and every single one of these guys were iced out. Their leader asked my friend for a cigarette, and we looked over here, and as we looked over, before he could even answer, they grabbed my roommate, took him to the center, made a formation, and started pounding on him, and the guy with the 2x4 took a swing at me. When he took a swing at me, I blocked. I took a swing at him back. I like to think I hit him. I don't know. I created some space, and then I had to make a choice. Do I stay or I run? That was my roommate, so I decided to stay, but I did absolutely nothing heroic in this situation. But what happened is that my life changed forever in the next few moments. Because in the next few moments, I experienced the most beautiful peace I'd ever experienced in my life. I am in the middle of that chaos. There was this beauty that I experienced. What happened was I had entered the flow state, that time and space absolutely slowed down, and everything I was doing was happening effortlessly. You see, street fights don't look like they look like in the movies. And everybody doesn't come circle you and come attack you one at a time. It's all out chaos, and you're running and moving and ducking and dodging and diving for your life. But everything was happening so slowly. I was like in the Matrix, and I was watching myself do it, and I was like, this is the most profound thing I've ever experienced in my life in the middle of this chaos. What is happening? I'll tell you what happened. For the first time, this mask was obliterated. The doubt was obliterated. The fear was obliterated. And I had finally come to the center. I finally met my true self. I finally was experiencing what it was like to be alive, wholly and totally in the moment, and experiencing life to its fullest. From that day on, I was obsessed with flow states. I was obsessed with peak states. And all I wanted to do is figure out, how do I get back here? Who is that guy? How do I move from this center? How do I find this center? How do I keep it? And how do I recover it when I get knocked off? And what I discovered, the biggest discovery I made, is flow is always happening. Flow is always on. It's natural. It's nature's way. It's just that we are blocked. We have these 3 blocks. They're like kinks in a hose. And these 3 blocks are security, control, and approval. All right? Who in here is a control freak? Security cat. How about an approval junkie? I see we're getting honest up in here, right? Hey, we all have a little bit of that in us. But here's the control freak. Something's happened to you in the past. You've been hurt in the past. and you still have some anger, blame, and resentment from the past. So what ends up happening is you bring that into the present and try to control everything so you don't feel that way again. And guess what? When you lose control, what happens? You lose your mind, and it makes you lose your peace. Security cat, that's when you're afraid of being hurt in the future. You're attached to victory or defeat in the future. You're attached to a future result. And now what you're doing is that you're bringing that worry from the future into the present, and that robs you of your peace. An approval junkie. If you need anything outside of yourself to make you feel whole and total and be right here, right now, it's the need for approval. We're always looking for external approval. We're always looking outside of ourselves for external validation. Why? Because we don't really trust ourselves. Even when you give a gift to somebody, you expect a thank you. Have you ever had the opportunity when you go to somebody and say, I love you, and they don't say I love you back? You're like, hey man, I said I love you, you didn't say I love you back? Were you saying I love you? Were you giving a gift? Were you being kind just to be kind and to give? Or was it secretly because you were trying to take some approval and some external validation? These are the things we have to understand, because security, control, and approval are all attributes of the mask, and they rob you of your peace, your presence, and playfulness. They're the blocks that come in the way of flow of life, the blocks that come in the way of flow of your health, and the flow of performance. Let's take a look and see how this impacts performance. First, there's two hidden metrics in performance. One of them is perception, and the other one is trust. I'm going to draw 3 more circles for you, then I'll be done with circles, okay? P is perception. That's for your perceptive state and perceptive awareness. E is for your experience of the event. A is for the actions that you take. So there's a principle of how things work. It says that your actions are predetermined by your perceptive experience. So what that means is who is perceiving is going to determine the experience you're having. That's going to determine the actions that you take. So the bigger question becomes, who is perceiving? Are you perceiving from the center of who you truly are? A noticing awareness, an unbiased observer that doesn't judge, that doesn't get emotional, and sees things unfold for what they really are? Because if you are, then your experience of the event will be the actual experience, and then you'll be able to take actions that are co-measurate to that or relate appropriately. And you could trust yourself. Or are you coming from fear? Are you coming from doubt? Are you coming from your masks of security, control, and approval? Because if that is who is perceiving, then now your experience of the event is not what's actually happening, it's what you think is happening. So what you think is happening is what's actually happening, plus your own stuff on top of it. Your securities, your controls, your approvals, your reactions, your tendencies, your biases. And if that happens, now your actions are going to be influenced by that. And more than likely, they will be reactions. So what masters do, they shift their perceptive state so they can change their experience to what is actually happening. And from there, choose actions that are co-measurate that support the objective. So how do you build trust? You build trust by knowing who you are. How do you know who you are? By knowing who you're not. Because each and every single one of you knows you're not your fears, you're not your doubts, you're not your securities, you're not your controls, you're not your approvals. So when you know who you are and you trust who you are, now you know who's perceiving. Now you can trust that the experience is what is actually happening. And now you can trust your actions, you can trust your choices, your decisions. That's how you trust yourself. Masters have, in this world that we live in today, it says do more to be more. It says turn the volume up. It says acquire more. It says work harder. But what masters do is they stop. They slow down so they can see more, so they can be more. It's the things you don't see, those are the things that get you killed on the battlefield. It's the things that you don't see, those are the things that make you lose in a business deal. It's the things that you don't see that make you miscommunicate in your relationships. So what masters do, and they practice this to get good at it, is they have the ability to say, time out, stop the world, pause. Take a step back and create some space. Take in a breath. and relax. Get out of their head, into their body, and start feeling what's happening around them. Now, from there, they've shifted their state, so they're experiencing what's actually happening. They can make conscious choices that are responses and they're not reactions from your masks. This is how masters build trust themselves. It's a process and it's something you have to practice. Now, how masterful you are is how many times, how quickly and efficiently you can do it. Because none of us can live in center all the time. Because life does what? It hits all of us. So the true key to mastery is the ability to catch yourself when you're off center and bring yourself back. That's what it's about. You're going to get knocked off, bring yourself back, recalibrate to the center, regain your balance. Know who is there, experience what's actually happening, and then make your choices from there. This is the art of mastery. Now, when you get good at operating from your center of who you truly are, now your gifts open up. Now your powers of creativity, connectivity, and adaptability open up. Just like security, control, and approval are attributes of the mask, creativity, connectivity, and adaptability are powers of the center. So connectivity, that's your ability to connect to yourself and to others, your loved ones or your opponents. It's your ability to connect to the situation, and it's also your ability to connect to maybe something greater than yourself. Now, when you get good at connecting, you have accurate perceptive awareness of what's happening, and you can trust your choices. But once you connect, now you have access to the ability to adapt. You know where fear comes from? Fear comes from the unknown. Fear comes from being uncertain in the situation of how it's going to unfold. So your certainty in uncertainty comes from knowing that you can be like water and flow. You know what that means? You can be like water and you can adapt and you can shift and change. And that's where your strength is. Creativity. Each and every single one of us in here is an artist of life. We are creators. We're constantly growing. We're constantly shifting. We're constantly changing. But creativity is not a acquiring more thing. It's a letting go thing. You see, I was always inside. I didn't become somebody new. I was always inside hiding. So what I had to do is I had to remove the masks, remove the doubts. I had to remove every single thing that I acquired to protect myself. It's like the butterfly. Yo, the butterfly is always inside the caterpillar. It's like Michelangelo and David. David is always inside the rock. What Michelangelo has to do is he has to go time out, pause, become still, and see that David is inside the rock. And then he hacks away at all the unessentials, and David is revealed. Just like each and every one of you in here today, there's a master inside of you right here, right now. You know why? Because that's all you have is right now. But what we have to do to reveal that is we have to let go of the securities, the controls, the approvals. We have to let go of the fears and the doubts so that you can discover the master within and experience life to its fullest. And when you get really good at getting to the center, you get really good at becoming still, you will know why you're here. You know, the real question everybody asks, whose why is it? That's the question we should be asking is whose why is it? Is it your mask's why? Or is it your true why? And your true why is connected to something greater than yourself. Only when you become still, you can hear another voice that's been overshadowed by that enemy. So once you quiet that voice, you can hear this other voice. Now you get more clear. And once you get more clear, you will be able to see why you're really here, what your purpose truly is. And when you see that and you know that, that's how you have an unshakable trust. And fear and doubt, they can't exist there. Who you are determines how you will execute what you do. Who is experiencing is going to determine the event that you're experiencing. What is it actually happening or what you think is happening? And that will then influence the actions that you take. True determination is a definiteness of purpose. So when we finally realize who we truly are, when we finally realize why we're really here, when we finally realize that we're connected and we belong to something greater than ourselves, we become unstoppable. We become unstoppable, and that's what the world needs. Time is running out for all of us. My time up here literally is running out. Check it. Time is running out for all of us, and tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So that means enlightenment's a right now thing. It's a lightening the load thing. It's a letting go and flow thing. Mastery is the continuous change and transformation of the being. It is the art of freeing yourself from yourself so that you can realize, look through your real eyes, that you are the gift. And this gift must be given to the world. Thank you very much.